Hello, readers and friends. Thank you for joining me. On Tuesday, January 15th, 2013, I had a 32-year milestone. This past January 15th, 2022, that milestone became 41 years. On Sunday, February 24th, 2013, I stopped smoking. I'm surprised that it is not yet a 10-year milestone because it feels like forever. For several years, I smoked just 3 cigarettes a day, American Spirits, yellow pack. I bought 2 packs every 2 weeks. You do the math. I could go for hours without a cigarette, but when I wanted one, I wanted one. And somewhere along the line, I started feeling like a pariah. I'm okay being alone. I like my own company. What I didn't like was the feeling that I was an outcast. Not an expat or an emigre, but an interloper, an imposter. I was living a half-life. I had not committed to living this life. I was no longer tempted to seek those moments of joy that are so fleeting. I was struggling once again with the age-old question of, who am I? My primary identity for 31 years was being a mother, and in 2000, my world shattered. This singular role fulfilled me. Every other role I embodied paled in comparison. Being a mother was my raison d'être. Smoking my 3 cigarettes a day normalized feelings for me. When I smoked, I could breathe. Other times I just held my breath, not breathing. This attempt at normalization was total drug behavior. I like to test myself. How long could I function without a cigarette? And then I began to fantasize, when could I civilly leave a meeting or a lunch or a conversation so I could get in my car and drive with all the windows down and smoke alone. Fantasy has always been an integral part of my internal world. Without fantasy, I could not write. My mind is free and wanders, creating worlds for me. In the 7th Walkerville Desires book, Rewire, I described that Sue Reynolds' first drug was fantasy. I believed for some time that smoking repressed my fantasy just like it did everything else. And why not? Fantasy is creativity, and I would not create. Instead, I acted out incomprehensible behavior that would amuse anyone else. I hid behind dumpsters thinking I could smoke and no one would know. I knew the location of dumpsters around work, restaurants where I went with friends, cafes where I went for coffee. Just like I once knew the location of every phone booth in Santa Cruz, so did I know the whereabouts of many dumpsters where I could quickly hide and take a few hits off of my cigarette. That's crazy thinking. That's total denial. Smoking became a tactic for me to control aspects of my life where I had absolutely no control over. I smoked to keep the grief at bay. I smoked so I could breathe. I smoked so I wouldn't get mad. I smoked so I wouldn't get sad. I smoked so just like a junkie or an alcoholic, I could preserve some sense of aliveness when in reality I was just numb inside. I disliked the stench of stale smoke, dirty ashtrays, the lingering smell on my clothes, the irritation in my throat. And I hated my manipulative behavior. I hated the lies, blaming cat dander and eucalyptus trees for my allergies and my cough. What an ad. And then I went to a training in July 2013. It was part of my job to meet new and perhaps future clients who might take my course. I went up to the Bay Area a couple of times a year, staying for a day or two and schmoozing. Those of you who know me know how much I look forward to this grandstanding. Not. These were also opportunities to unveil new training tools. For teaching purposes, these tools included visual, tactile, experimental elements for our new folks and those who are already coaches. That year, 2013, there was a beautiful set of illustrated cards relating to our EQ model. There were lovely drawings of dragonflies, leaves, flowers, shells, the sun, bamboo, stars, and elephants. Each card suggested a question that was meant to encourage reflection or action, essentially change. As I approached the table, I felt as if an oracle were waiting for me. My intuition was on overdrive, and I just didn't want to pick the card that my hand was hovering over. I was drawn by the blue and red colors of the smiling elephant on that card. But the truth was, I was apprehensive by what I thought I was reading at the bottom of that card. Do you remember those moments in your life when something happens? You hear something, you touch something, you see something, you read something that is so tangible your life changes in a nanosecond? I have felt that only 3 times in my life. I won't tell you about the first time, but the second time was when I read this question on that card. What am I only pretending to care about? I picked it up, read it again, and a shift so compelling stirred inside me. I could not believe the audacity of this question. The creator of the cards, who also happened to be my boss, noticed me standing and staring at the card. Playfully, he asked, "Which card?" Quickly, I put it behind me and stubbornly I said, "I'm not telling you." I had to keep this question a secret. The question was mine. It challenged everything about me, about the life I had been sleepwalking through since my son's death. I journaled these thoughts, feelings, emotions, and I never spoke them out loud to another person. To say this question threw me for a loop is an understatement. This odd phrase, "threw me for a loop," comes from the early descriptions of the roller coaster. The loop runs to the point where the roller coaster arcs upward through a complete circle, suspending passengers upside down for a few seconds because inertia is stronger than gravity. When you're upside down on a roller coaster, inertia keeps you from falling out. This resistance to a change in motion is stronger than gravity. Your body presses to the outside of the loop as the roller coaster spins around. Inertia is passive and it resists any agency that attempts to put it into motion. Gravity, on the other hand, just wants to pull me toward the ground or anywhere else that's not static. And unlike a roller coaster, I had no momentum pulling me forward or upside down, and my body wasn't pressing on anything. My mind, my soul was free-floating in space, and to an outsider, I probably looked normal, like I was living and even enjoying my life. I just kept being thrown for a loop internally. The question, what am I only pretending to care about, touched my inner compass in such a profound way that I am still sometimes baffled. And I was able to break free from that inner inertia slowly, slowly, slowly. Mainly, I realized how dead I felt internally. I was surprised at all the things in my life that I was pretending to care about. And I finally admitted that my smoking was a way of passively hastening my death. I had really been trying to find a raison d'etre since my son died. Smoking became it. I have to say that I've been meditating on this question since 2013. And in August 2015 was the third time I heard words, read words, and said words out loud that changed my life. Nancy Levin, author and life coach, said, "Honor the space between no longer and not yet." Now, this is a topic for another chat, but I want to say that I spent years in the no longer part of my life, and I knew intuitively that it was time to move on to the not yet part. In 1975, Chris Williamson gave the world this song. When you open up your life to the living, all things come spilling in on you, and you're flowing like a river, the changer and the changed. These two statements, what am I only pretending to care about, and honor the space between no longer and not yet, have kept me going internally for some time now. In my more healthy moments, I know I have found choices and, of course, curiosity. However, I had to follow my own path to get from there to here. The process is the content, right? I am learning to live as intentionally as I can, and I'm willing to forgive over and over again, because forgiveness, too, is a process. I am grateful. And I'm grateful to you for spending this time with me as well. And I'd love to hear your feedback. Won't you leave a comment here and share your experience with those moments that change everything? If you prefer something more private, feel free to message me on Instagram or Facebook. And you know that YouTube counts everything. That's how their whole model of deciding what other viewers might be interested in works. So if you appreciate these chats, won't you give this video a thumbs up? And clicking that red subscribe button really helps as well. And the best way to support me continuing these visits and doing the writing is to actually buy my books. The address of my Amazon page is in the description. All the Walkerville books are available there in both Kindle and print editions. Tell your friends, write a review, post something on your social media. And I know you know somebody out there is looking for a new favorite author for their summer reading. As always, you'll find the direct link for next Wednesday's live chat down in the description as well. Hope to see you then, and thank you again so much for joining me today.